My name is Karen Blumhorst.
And I'm Bill.
And so we're the Blumhorst from
St. Mary's, Ohio.
So it's nice to see another Ohioan here. Our topic today is living the dream, and Bill and I really do feel like we're living the dream. And those people that tell us every day we don't look any different than we did before, well, I think they're wrong. Because Bill and I met in 1970 when I moved to St. Mary's from Toronto, and my father had passed away when I was very young. My mother was originally from St. Mary's and moved back to be with her family. So I met Bill back in the 70s when we were both in school, and we started dating. These are our senior pictures, and he asked me the other day, well, why is, he must be younger than me because his is in color and mine's in black and white. And I said, no, that wasn't the case at all. So we met and we started dating in our senior year, and like any couple, we started to dream and we started to think about our life. And when Bill asked me to out on our first date, I was working at a drive-in theater. And he came out and he asked me to go out on a date. So you tell about the first 3 dates we had.
Well, in my life, I like consistency. So our first 3 dates was amounting to going to the putter golf and then going out to our local restaurant, having a meal together, and that was the date. And I thought, boy, we're all doing really good here. Consistency and everything going fine.
So after the third date of the same thing, I am not the consistency person. I like change. So I think we found out quickly that our differences really complemented each other. And so after we had dated for a while, we were dreaming, and we went to the drive-in theater and we would dream here, and we would think about what we were going to do in our future and how we were going to move our life forward. So our next step was I went away to college, and then we got married between my freshman and sophomore year. And so again, we still not changed, right? We still look the same, but we moved forward and we got married. So our dream, we met the dream, and then we added to our dream. So in 81, we had our daughter Katie, and in 84, we had our son Justin. And this is when our first major change came for us, when Justin was born, and he had some seizures when he was young. And I eventually took him to a doctor because he seemed to have some speech delays. And I got that news, your son will never be normal. And I never believed that. And we hurried up to the doctor, and we had a wonderful doctor who really believed in Justin and knew Justin. So we went to the next doctor, and Bill came over to meet us and went through that whole topic. And what ended up, we went to a speech therapist then. And when we went to see the speech therapist was asking Justin questions, like any good speech therapist would. And he would ask a question, and Katie would answer. And he would ask another question, and Katie would answer. And he said, I think I know your problem. Katie speaks really well. She was speaking for Justin and wasn't allowing him to speak. So after several years of going through speech therapy, and we got involved with our local DD board, and he was doing some early intervention services. And I was asked to teach. And I accepted a position back teaching after I had been off work for probably 8 years, staying home with the children. And when I went to teach, I taught a transition classroom in a segregated school. And my students were 18 to 22-year-old, and it was wonderful. I was there for a couple years, and then I moved on to teaching in a high school. And we still had a segregated classroom, but it was very integrated and cross-integration. And my favorite thing was when educators came into my classroom and the superintendents and principals came in, they couldn't tell who were my students and who were the students that were in cross-integration. And I felt that was my success. So our program was community-based, and it was vocational. Well, I found as a teacher that I couldn't take things just quite far enough. I could take it to a certain level, but at some point, I really couldn't. And when I first started teaching, my first class of students, I had 2 students that were going to graduate. And those 2 students that were going to graduate, I was so excited. Where are they going to graduate to? What's going to happen? They're going to go to the workshop. And I said, no. I didn't think that was right. I didn't understand why my dreams for my children should be any different for anybody else's. So I placed those two students, and I placed them in jobs, got job coaches. I had to find my own job coach, even though state VR paid for it. That was when we had to find our own coaches. So the local bus driver who was free during the day, coached those students for me. And she was a parent of a couple students of mine as well. So my dream, my next student that I placed though, when we moved on, we had companies. We had companies like Capabilities that we started in ~97, but I was frustrated with those companies. And I couldn't figure out why.
I think you should show about the prom.
One of my students, though, they found out that he got a job. Well, first of all, it took a month to get a resume. I came home and I complained about that. Why does it take a month to get a resume? And then the first day he was out to go to work, his job coach came 15 minutes late. And the employer was not happy. I was not happy. The next day, 15 minutes late again. And I said, and he was fired. He and the job coach were fired. I said, never again will that happen. So our students at that point.
And I'm going to butt in on this. So Karen comes home and tells me this story, and I said, you know, if you think you can do a better job, let's see what we can do to change things. So this puts Karen's mind into going forward and wanting to change the lives of others in many ways. She was doing a great job through the school, and in fact got Teacher of the Year your final year. And it was really amazing to see. And by the way, this picture here, Karen initiated a kind of a prom setting for her students. The only problem is with her students that year, you'll notice they're all guys. So unfortunately they didn't have dates that year, but they still had a good time.
So from that, I wanted to do better. We can do great things here. So we started a company called Capabilities, which is located in St. Mary's. And we started with myself and my teacher's assistant. And for the first year, I did the job development, and she did the job coaching. And that summer, we both taught that year. And that summer, though, we went from having 2 people that we were serving to 20. And we both quit our jobs and said, okay, we're going to dedicate ourselves to capabilities and to helping people find community employment. So that was back in '97 when that started. And then the logo that we had, our daughter, when we were talking again, what are we going to call this business we're going to come up with? And, you know, we have such capable people. I don't want to concentrate on the disability. And she came up with the name Capabilities.
Well, at the time, I worked at a print shop, and I was a pre-press supervisor. I'd been there for 23 years. And so I go downstairs to our area there, and I said, hey, we need to come up with a logo for Capabilities. So what you see there is actually the logo that we came up with at when we first started. Down below is now, after having the kids involved in our business, and by the way, they are posed to take over the company when we do get old enough to retire. They came up with the idea, we need to come up with a logo that really kind of puts us, obviously a lot more design in it, and so we've got our new logo now. And unfortunately, the logo I came up with was much cheaper than the one we came up here the second time. But as we go on.
So we started Capabilities, and then we've transformed now. And our daughter, Katie, my first mistake with her was I told her to follow her dreams anywhere, and she did. She moved away to Detroit, became an interior designer. And so I smartened up, of course, with the next one, and I said, follow your dreams in Ohio. And he stayed in Ohio, and he went to school at Bowling Green, and he actually joined our company first, right out of college, and he's now our posed to take over my position. And Katie then, after several years, found out we were talking. We were always talking about the business when we got together, and she felt left out. And she and her husband were living in New Jersey, and she felt so left out that she moved her husband back to Ohio. And he joined our company as a job developer because he's a salesman at heart. And then 2 years later, she followed him, and she's now our human resource person. So we've gotten our whole family involved, and I've had people ask, well, how do I find Blumhorst? I said, I don't know, I had to make my own. You have to do your own. So our dream keeps moving on, and what we found out was we had the empty nest, not a dream, it was a reality. So we had to move forward, and then we became part of the sandwich generation.
At this point, a lot of us face this. The two young people there in front of Karen and myself are my mom and dad. One of the toughest things I've ever had to do was put my parents in the nursing home. Dad had hip replacement surgery in the early 80s and was going through some problems. In fact, one of his hip joints came apart, and he was posed to get another replacement surgery at the age of 96, but they found that his heart would not hold up for the surgery. So at that point, we ended up having to go into the nursing home, and this is a picture that has been taken after he had been in the nursing home since August. You can tell he's got a little smile there, but it's not the smile he used to have. The nursing home was not really, the nursing home was very good for him, but it wasn't what Dad wanted, you know. And I'm very proud to say my dad went on to live till he was 99, and my mom is still living, and we're very thankful for them to being part of our lives. Now, moving forward here, our son Justin has two wonderful kids here, Harrison and Whitley, and I think we're trying to push some mathematics for one of these two, because we need to have a Blumhorst doing our financial end of the business. So we're kind of pushing the mathematics end on that.
All right, so our dream is alive and living, and we have expanded from the two people that we originally started with, and we serve about 2/3 of Ohio, and we have offices in all of those different areas. We are no different from anyone else. We dreamed it, we did it, and you can too. So we have these offices. We've also opened a couple of rehabilitation programs, and those are transitioning right now. We're in Project Transformation to help them transition from, they're partially facility-based, but they need to be more community-based, so we're transitioning them. We have a driving school that we started out of need because I had referred one of my students for driving. It took a year for him to even get somebody to meet with him to help him get a permit, much less learn to drive. So Bill said, as I had been saying, I can do better than that. He said, I can do better than that, and he became a driving instructor. And now we have 6 instructors throughout the state of Ohio that help people with disabilities learn to drive. And the state of Ohio said, you can't open a driving school just for people with disabilities, so we have a regular driving school as well.
I need to share one of my first stories of driving with a person with a disability. We do have a car equipped with hand controls and a spinner knob. And this young lady was driving in a rural area, and she was driving down these country roads, and we're making right-hand turns. And when she would make her right-hand turns, she would keep hold of the wheel and keep it turned. And I was constantly sitting over in the passenger seat over there, and I'm shifting this wheel back and forth, making sure she gets it straight. And I remembered Karen telling me that people learn from their mistakes. So let's try to do this in the driving process. So I'm looking around. We're in a very rural situation. We're coming up on a road. We're going to make a right-hand turn. And I was determined if this young lady wasn't going to make this recover her wheel, we were going to go into this ditch. Well, I'm very proud to say that we did go into this ditch, but I'm also very proud to say that was the last time the young lady didn't recover the wheel. She learned a great lesson, valuable lesson through this. And now, when we go into our local Walmart, most of the time, she is there as a greeter and always calls Karen and I by our names and like our best friends. So, those are the type of things that you get out of this business and that we all have gotten out of this business. And I think you all agree with me that, yes, we all get paid, but when it comes to living the dream, we're doing some very special work. And I want to encourage every one of you, continue this process. This is very special.
But of course, be careful what you tell people, because when you tell people, let people make mistakes, you better be clear. So how have we expanded high quality services and why we dream what we dream? We really, at one point my mother said to me, Karen, because I have an elementary education degree, and she said, why are you teaching people with disabilities? And I said, don't you think they need the best of all? And she never questioned me again. And we need to teach and retain our company core values. That's one of the reasons, the ways we've been able to expand is to make sure that the people that we do have, and all of our people that work at Capabilities have the same common core values. All of our employees don't work out. I wish they did. All of them don't stay forever. All of them don't fit our company culture, and some will come to us. We had somebody leave an orientation after it was over because there were 10 people in the orientation and they were so excited about being there and they were so excited about their life and their work at Capabilities, but she wasn't. So she realized that she didn't have that same dream that we did. We have to have really good relationships with our funding source, and we have to keep those relationships strong, and we have to find out what they need. Many of our services have come out of their need. They're telling me, you know, Karen, we need this, so we do it. Communicate, and I over-communicate, can't do that enough. Learn from your experiences, learn from your successes, and learn from your mistakes. Hopefully Bill learned from his.
Definitely.
Make your customer's job easier. And that's many times we go into meetings and we say, how can we make your job easier? So in our last, what's our top 10 quotes? Because everybody always tells me, Karen, you're always quoting. Well, I don't know. People quote me back. So Bill's is the first one.
It's all good. Honestly, everything you do. This is great. It's really a good process.
And mine is, I am a big, short-term planner. Bill's a long-term planner. I'm a short-term planner. And I'm constantly telling people, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
I have a picture, before I say this quote, I have a picture, and some of the older people in the room can relate to this. I have a picture of Pete Rose sliding into third base, and underneath it I've got maximum effort equals maximum gain. And I think, you know, in the services we provide, if we give maximum effort and show the employers what we can do to assist, we do get that maximum gain for our people.
I learned several years ago that thank you doesn't mean good job, and I wasn't telling people enough good job. And honestly, good job doesn't mean great job either. So I've learned to say that a lot more.
We don't get all of our people placed, but we want to make sure we always leave the person served in a better place.
And see the need, fill the need, always do your best, and then you'll be living your dream too.
Everyone is your customer, and customers come first.
And this one I think you've heard many times over the course of the last 2 days, and make sure you do have the right people on your bus, but make sure you put them in the right seat.
Change is good, as long as it doesn't affect me too much.
Because I love change, I really do, and I'm constantly looking at our forms, I'm looking at our policies, but a lot of times people say, yeah, as long as it doesn't affect you, Karen. Well, it obviously does affect me. And my last one is, you know, is your integrity worth it? Because our business is truly based on honesty and integrity. And we feel that if we do the right thing and we do it the way we're supposed to be doing it and it's honest, that the money will follow us. So live your dream, and our dream does live on.